Hi, welcome everybody. How y'all doing? Wonderful? Okay, great, wonderful. Great, fantastic. My name is David Law. I am a member of the Cure GM1 board. I'm also the father of Violet Aurora Cison Law, my daughter who passed away from GM1 almost 2 years ago now. I'm honored to come back today and this year to come back to the community and talk on and moderate this topic, caring for a child with a rare disease and caring for your community. One thing that struck me, kind of sitting through all the lectures and talks the last couple of hours, is how many disciplines are involved in this kind of venture. You know, we have caregiving, we have medical science, we have self-care, and we have community. There's so many aspects of caring for a rare disease child, as I know, that I think coming together is really a strong action to show how much your dedication is there for your children. Um, I don't want to talk too much today. I think today really belongs to the community and everyone around, but I do want to share a little bit about our story and about how far we've gone and where we're going currently. So, this was Violet. She was a beautiful, wonderful baby. Now, I'm a hospital physician, and Violet came around during a very crazy time in my life when I was battling the pandemic and the wards and kind of figuring out if like the world was going to end in a few years or not. But in the middle of all that, Violet was born. Well, not the middle. She was already about 1 or 2 years old. But right near the end of the pandemic, we got the diagnosis of GM1. I think all too well, everyone in this room knows the path that we all struggle with, and I won't labor too much on that. But I will focus on, after going through what we did with Violet, one of the things that I reflected on that was such a great asset to my family was the power of the storytelling that we were able to be a part of. I remember hearing that in the first time when we first got diagnosed that, oh, tell your story, share with the community. And I thought, how can you say that when the world is ending? You know, how can you possibly talk about this horrible, painful thing? And why does that, and how does that help my child at all, you know? And oddly enough, I realized that telling my story, among the other things that we did for Violet during her time, was among the most important things that we did, because it made her life and her story last beyond her normal lifespan and go and travel to places far beyond just our house or the hospital. Okay, I know many of you who have been diagnosed or gone through the path have told your stories, and I salute every single one of you who've done that. It truly is a scary and a intimidating thing to do, but the value you get from it and the community you create with that can be something that really does inspire and go beyond just what you're doing right there. So, you know, I don't think there's any kind of formula to it, except the fact that just be a little shameless with it. I mean, in the sense that let's talk to everybody. We started with our friends and family, and we were surprised by just not even just direct friends and family, but like people who knew of us peripherally would reach out, and like complete strangers would donate to our GoFundMe and just really like show their support. Local media and press, you know, wherever you live, the local paper is a great place to start, but also, you know, the major papers around. We had great success with the Long Beach Post, but also the LA Times, and then other national papers too. Local groups and associations. One thing that we always joke about, well, not joke about, was that out in college I was in a fraternity, and Rafa, you know this, but so essentially my fraternity brothers from Pi Lambda Phi, when they heard about this 20 years after college, they got together and really raised a bunch of funds for us and raised a bunch of awareness and really helped us get the story out there. On the slide, you see a lot of the stories and some of the articles that covered us from the fraternity, from Cal Berkeley, from some of the podcasts, from comedian Ken Jeong, who we knew through mutual friends. So it really is really amazing how a story can move and affect people. And you never know what things can lead to it from there. So one thing that always stuck with me when we first started this journey was, as many times as you've told your story, someone's hearing it for the very first time. And even though it's old hat to you, you've traveled this road before, it even hurts to say the story, you never know that someone you say the story to might be in a position to affect change and really push the goals forward. So in my case, we found this route of advocacy, and we kind of stumbled upon it, you know, because obviously we do advocate for GM1, but we found that we thought that going to the state capitol would probably be one of the most effective things for us. So we thought, GM1 has been recognized in other states, but we hadn't had one in California. So we essentially started a change.org campaign, started like talking about GM1, and then actually did a trip to Sacramento when Violet was still here and had her meet a bunch of the assembly members and representatives. And it was very impactful. Some of the guys we met, Marisucci from California and Senator Steve Padilla from San Diego. And one of the nicest things was that Senator Padilla actually took our cause up and declared the first GM1 Awareness Day in California in 2023. That was shortly before Violet passed away. And after that, I didn't think we'd hear from them ever again, thinking that, okay, this is part of our journey that is over. But after she passed in 2024, they called us back and did the resolution again. And recently, they did it again in 2025. And every year that we go back, more senators recognize us. They know our names. They know the name of the disease. They've spoken Violet's name in the State House several times. And I feel like at this stage and where I am in this journey, it really does help to keep her spirit alive and keep the work that we're doing going with everything that we got. Okay? So here's the video from this year's presentation. I'll just play it from the top.
GM1 gangliosidosis is a rare, inherited genetic disorder that primarily affects children. Thank you, Madam President. GM1 is a devastating disorder with many debilitating ramifications, including developmental regression, mobility deterioration, seizures, visual impairment, and neurodegeneration. It is a progressive disorder resulting in irreversible damage that the longer someone is affected, and unfortunately more than 50% of those impacted die before their 5th birthday. Faster a diagnosis can be made, the sooner a patient can work to limit the damage with therapies, medication, or clinical trials which may slow disease progression or help with symptoms. However, while research into enzyme replacement therapy, gene therapy, and other possible treatments are ongoing, there are still no approved treatments for GM1. It is that lack of standardized and scientifically proven treatment for GM1 that makes early diagnosis and awareness all the more important. This disease is still not yet well known, and it takes an average of 4 years for most families to get a diagnosis at all, which is far too long and often too late. The more we can educate people, the better chance we have to find treatments that can save lives. My first year in the Senate came across the story of Violet Law. She actually joined us here at the Senate with her family, her mom and dad and siblings, in that year. She tragically passed away in November of 2023 from GM1 at the age of 4. Her life was a beautiful one, filled with love and support, smiles, swimming, of course, Disneyland, friends, and family. Her story and the tireless efforts of her parents, Dr. David Law and Dr. Vina Sison, were incredibly moving. A family experiencing the worst, greatest parents can face and meeting that challenge with grit, poise, and purpose. Violet and her parents spurred a movement that raised thousands of dollars towards research efforts and to continue to spread awareness about GM1. Colleagues, I respectfully ask for your aye vote to raise awareness of this devastating disorder.
Of your guest.
Thank you very much, Madam President and colleagues. I'm pleased to welcome with us today the president and founder of Cure GM1 Foundation, Ms. Christine Wagner, who is here in honor of her daughter, Iris, and Dr. David Law, here in memory of his daughter, Violet. These people are the strong advocates that continue to work hard to raise awareness of GM1.
Welcome to the Senate. Thank you for coming.